Hello everyone, you are on the channel Scary Story. Today I have a tale that will make you question every little noise you hear in your own home. It's about a man named Leo who thought he had found the perfect quiet house to start a new life. He was wrong. Leo moved into a 2-story house on the edge of a sleepy town, nestled right against a dense dark forest. It was old, with creaky floors and a history he didn't bother to check. He just wanted peace after a noisy city life. For the first few weeks, everything was perfect. The silence was a comforting blanket. But then, the night started to change. It began with a faint scratching sound, seemingly coming from the walls. Leo dismissed it as mice or old pipes settling. It was an old house after all. These things were to be expected. But the scratching grew louder, more rhythmic, almost deliberate. It wasn't the frantic scurrying of a rodent. This was a slow, methodical sound. Drag, scrape, pause, drag, scrape, pause. It always came from directly above his bedroom, from the attic. One night, the sound was so persistent, it pulled him from a deep sleep. Heart pounding, he lay in the darkness, listening. The scratching stopped and was replaced by a soft, thumping sound, like something heavy being gently dropped. Over and over. The next morning, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, Leo decided he had to investigate. He pulled down the folding ladder to the attic, a cloud of dust billowing down to greet him. Flashlight in hand, he cautiously climbed up into the darkness. The air was thick and musty, filled with the smell of old wood and something else, something faintly metallic and coppery. His flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing old boxes, forgotten furniture draped in white sheets like ghosts, and a thick layer of dust covering everything. Everything, that is, except for a single clear path. Cutting through the grey dust was a trail. 2 parallel lines, as if something heavy had been dragged from one end of the attic to the other, straight towards the small, circular window that overlooked the forest. Leo followed the tracks, his breath held tight in his chest. They were about a foot apart, perfectly straight. What could have made them? He knelt down, shining his light on the wooden floorboards. Within the tracks, he saw them. Long, deep gouges in the wood, not scratches from an animal's claws. These were thin and sharp, like someone had dragged a set of knives across the floor. As he reached the end of the tracks by the window, his light fell upon something that made his blood run cold. The window, which he was sure had been latched shut, was slightly ajar, and on the dusty windowsill there was a single, perfect handprint. It was long and slender, with fingers that seemed unnaturally thin. But what was truly terrifying was the dark, reddish-brown smear that stained the dust within the print. It looked like dried blood. Leo scrambled back, stumbling down the ladder and slamming the attic hatch shut. He tried to rationalize it. A squatter? A prank? But the handprint? The tracks? Nothing made sense. That night, he barricaded his bedroom door with a heavy dresser and tried to sleep, but every creak of the house sent a jolt of panic through him. The sounds from the attic returned, louder this time. The dragging, the scraping, and a new sound, a soft, wet, tearing noise. It sounded like fabric being ripped apart, slowly and deliberately. He spent the next few days in a state of high alert. He installed new locks, checked every window, and even bought a security camera, aiming it squarely at the attic hatch. He refused to go back up there. He thought about calling the police, but what would he say? That he heard strange noises and found a weird track in his dust. They would think he was crazy. He had to get proof. He needed the camera to show him what was happening. The first night with the camera was agonizing. He watched the live feed on his laptop, his eyes glued to the static image of the attic hatch. For hours, nothing happened. The house was silent. Just as he was about to give up, convincing himself it was all in his head, a flicker of movement caught his eye. The hatch, which he had securely bolted, began to tremble. Slowly, silently, the bolt slid back on its own. The hatch creaked open just a few inches. Leo stared at the screen, his heart hammering against his ribs. He couldn't breathe. From the dark gap, something emerged. It wasn't a hand. It was a long, pale, stick-like appendage, tipped with something dark and sharp that glinted in the infrared light of the camera. It moved with a jerky, unnatural motion, like a spider's leg. Then another appeared, and another. He wasn't watching a person. He was watching something trying to assemble itself. The creature, if that's what it was, pulled itself out of the attic. It was tall and emaciated, its limbs impossibly long and thin. Its skin was pale and translucent, stretched taut over a skeletal frame. It had no discernible face, just a smooth, blank surface where features should have been. It unfolded itself, standing unsteadily in the hallway, its head nearly touching the ceiling. Then it turned its blank face directly towards Leo's bedroom door, as if it knew he was watching. In a panic, Leo slammed his laptop shut. He heard a skittering sound in the hallway, the sharp click of its appendages on the hardwood floor. It was moving towards his door. He backed away, pressing himself into the far corner of the room, listening as the doorknob began to jiggle violently. The barricade he'd built groaned under the pressure. A splintering sound echoed through the room as the creature began to tear at the wood. He knew he couldn't stay. He didn't even grab his phone or his wallet. He climbed out of his bedroom window, dropping onto the soft grass below, and he ran. He ran without looking back, the sounds of his home being torn apart fading behind him. He ran until he collapsed on the side of the road, miles away. He never went back. He left everything behind. Leo tells this story from a small, brightly lit apartment in a crowded city, hundreds of miles away. He never sleeps without a light on. Sometimes late at night, when the city is quiet, he thinks he can hear a faint scratching sound. Drag, scrape, pause, and he wonders if the thing from the attic is still looking for him. He wonders what it was dragging and what it left behind in those dark woods. And he knows, with chilling certainty, that some houses should just be left alone. Thank you for listening to this story on Scary Story. If you have a chill running down your spine, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Stay safe and always check your attic.